afternoon, everybody. And then there were six teams left in the race for the Sam Maguire, and this penultimate quarter-final brings together the holders and the newly crowned Connacht champions. It's Cork against Mayo for the right to progress to an All-Ireland semi-final against Kerry next month. Let's take a look at how the teams line out, starting with the challengers from Mayo. Only 8 of these teams started the National League final against Cork 15 months ago, and only 4 of them remain in the same positions as James Horan's first season begins to take shape. The Mayo manager has made 2 changes to the side that won the Connacht title. Gerard Cafferty returns at full-back, and Enda Varley gets the nod at number 13. The brothers O'Shea start together at centre field for the 3rd game on the trot, with Cork-born Donal Vaughan at 6 and team captain Alan Dillon at 11 completing the midfield diamond. Corner forward Cillian O'Connor, man of the match against Roscommon, is starting just his 3rd championship match. Conor Coonahan may be without some talented forwards due to injuries, but he's still able to send out 12 of the team that started last year's All-Ireland final. One of those missing is Daniel Goulding. Nicholas Murphy had been named to take his place, but Murphy doesn't start, and instead Fiachra Lynch makes his first championship start in the Cork full forward line. He's surrounded in there by familiar names and faces in a very potent attack that has scored 9 goals in their last 4 games. At the other end, Cork get a second look at this new look full back line, which includes on-field team captain Michael Shields. And on the respective subs benches, keep an eye on the number 22s, Ronan McGarrity for Mayo and Graham Canty for Cork. Bound to see some action before the day is out. Our referee, Rory Hickey from Clare, taking charge of his 5th championship game this summer. Interestingly, also in charge of the whistle when Mayo played Cork in the National League back in April. Well, it's a very overcast and muggy afternoon here at Croke Park. Kerry already safely through to the All-Ireland semi-final as we pause for Aron Navian, which will be played today by the Artane Band. Championship 2011 reaching the business end on this bank holiday weekend and set for the second last quarter-final. Croke Park seems strangely quiet for the first meeting of these teams in the championship since the All-Ireland quarter-final 9 years ago, a game that Cork won by 3 points against a Mayo side that included their current manager, James Horan. Certainly the odds seem stacked against Horan and his team again today. They haven't beaten Cork in the championship since 1916. They've also lost here at Croke Park on their last 5 visits, including against Cork in last year's National League final. Cork, as we know at this stage, have no such worries. They've never lost an All-Ireland quarter-final. They're the reigning All-Ireland champions, and Croke Park very much like a second home to them at this stage. They'll play in this second half from right to left, playing into an empty Hill 16, and we're off and running in this All-Ireland Senior Championship quarter-final. Aidan O'Shea, first chance for him to run right at the heart of this Cork defence, holding off Aidan Walsh, going for the score, but shooting on the run and out to the left and wide. So much expectation on his very broad shoulders again today. He'll be expected to put it up to his direct opponent Aidan Walsh, and in partnership with his brother Seamus ensure that Mayo win their fair share of ball around the middle of the field. Alan Quirke's kick-out breaks into the path of Pádraig Kissan, and this is John Miskela. Both teams, by the looks of things, lining up pretty orthodox for these first few minutes. There's a very slight breeze blowing into Cork's faces in this first half, but it's a very muggy and humid afternoon here in Dublin, and a very subdued atmosphere. As Noel O'Leary breaks forward down along the right-hand side. There's a diagonal ball in towards Donegal O'Connor. Backpedaling, gets up there above Ger Cafferty. Cafferty sticking to his task. And that ball eventually swept up by Keith Higgins. As Cork there tried to isolate Donegal O'Connor, who of course without his regular partner in there today, Daniel Goulding. Whistle blown, free to Mayo. And Paul Early. Still very early days, but pretty orthodox by the looks of things. Mayo lining up man to man, but we do expect them to set up a sweeper system pretty short.
Absolutely, but that was a very important dispossession there by Ger Cafferty. Donegal O'Connor did very well to catch the ball, but what Mayo can't afford to do is to let Cork get an early start. An early goal would give them the confidence to kick on and perhaps produce a performance like they did against Down last week. So Mayo need to just batten down the hatches, and you're right, Mike, I think they will play with an extra defender in front of the full back line. Down didn't do that last week, and it allowed Cork to run through the middle on so many occasions and get quite a few scores, particularly in the first half.
Interestingly, Cork have started Pierce O'Neill at centre half forward, and Paddy Kelly has gone to the wing. And so far, Donald Vaughan holding the centre. Here is Vaughan racing out towards that Cusack stand side, but there was a push in the back of Tom Kinniff, and Mayo take the free quickly, but nobody on the same wavelength as the free taker, and Cork have possession. This is Paddy Cassan to Pierce O'Neill as he spots a little gap, pops it off to Miskela. Mayo converging around Miskela quickly, and now Pierce O'Neill. Mayo trying to create a little shield there in front of the semicircle. Aidan Walsh kicking very rashly, and that's gone well wide. Nothing on inside. Decided to have a pot, Aidan Walsh. But what a big day it is for James Horan. He has delivered a Connacht title in this, his first season. Also kept Mayo in Division 1 of the National Football League. But adamant earlier on this week that his team are going to have a go at Cork, meet them head on, were his exact words. As Robbie Henley smashes this out towards his clubmate, Seamus O'Shea, trying to hold off Alan O'Connor. O'Connor using his to win the second ball. Popped inside to Noel O'Leary. Trying to go through rather than round Andy Moran, and with a little help from Seamus O'Shea, Mayo have won that free. O'Leary barging with the ball, good pressure.
Yeah, excellent pressure by Mayo. In fact, Cork have won the first three kickouts. Seamus O'Shea has got his hands to the ball a couple of times, but has broken to a Cork player. But that's good intensity in the tackle from Mayo, and they've done that in the league campaign. They did it very successfully against Galway and Roscommon in the Connacht Championship. 2 and 3 players going to the man in possession, dispossessing them without giving away any frees.
Player standing over this is young Cillian O'Connor. This is his first appearance at Croke Park since the All-Ireland minor semi-final last August. He hit 6 points in that game against Tyrone. Here he is trying to kick the first score of this All-Ireland quarter-final. Not going to carry, and Aidan Walsh claims it all for himself. Outside to Cadigan. Cadigan looking for Miskela. Pass a little overcooked, but it all worked out for Noel O'Leary. And now Cork will try and break at pace as they flood the Mayo half with bodies. Paddy Cassan taking that ball in his stride. Breaking away from the edge of the square is Donegal O'Connor. And now Fintan Gould as Mayo try to get bodies back. Gould in over the top to O'Connor. Lovely sidestep. Down he goes. In goes Rory Hickey. And it is a penalty. 5 minutes gone. And Donegal O'Connor finding a gap, pulled to the ground, and Rory Hickey says penalty.
Yeah, harsh penalty again, but he got in the front position, and when you do that, Ger Cafferty put the hand in over the shoulder. There wasn't an awful lot in it. Soft enough penalty in my view, but when you get caught behind the player, if you do tackle over the shoulder, the referee is usually going to give the benefit of the doubt to the player in possession, and Cork have a great chance to get the first goal of the game.
Ger Cafferty being spoken to by the referee, and he becomes the first player to be booked. Well, this is a big moment in this game. Imperative for Mayo that they didn't concede any big scores early on. They kept this game as tight as they could, and now all of a sudden Donnacha O'Connor, who's already scored from the penalty spot this summer against Kerry in the final, facing down Robert Henley. Big kick, and he's buried it. Beautiful finish by Donnacha O'Connor. Robert Henley beaten for just the 4th time this summer. He went the right way, but it was a daisy cutter, and Cork are out in front.
Yeah, that's a fantastic penalty, and Donnacha O'Connor has done that so many times. We remember in the semi-final against Dublin last year when Cork really needed the goal, put it inside that same on the opposite side of the field, but put it right inside the left-hand post, and did it again, playing with great confidence at the moment, Donnacha O'Connor.
So that's the perfect start for Cork. Can Mayo respond? Andy Moran flicking that ball through towards Alan Freeman. A little bit of work to do. Andy Moran has continued his run inside. He's faced out by Michael Shields. Moran barging through. He's gone down just on the edge of that large parallelogram. It'll be a 13-metre free. Mayo claiming, I think, that Andy Moran was inside the square. It's going to be a free, and Noel O'Leary is going to be spoken to.
Well, the referee was right on the line. He was in the perfect position to make the decision. It's a borderline call. I think he may have just about got it right, but it's very, very borderline. But to be fair to Rory Hickey, he was about 5 metres directly in line, so he was in the best position to make the call.
Well, there was an audible gasp from the Mayo supporters as that incident was replayed on the big screens here at Croke Park. A point from Cillian O'Connor comes from that attack. Noel O'Leary has been booked, and it's a 2-point game as we head towards the 9th minute in what has been a pretty dramatic start to this game.
Yeah, and it's very important that Mayo respond to that early score from Cork, and I see Noel O'Leary has taken up marking duties on Andy Moran, and Andy is a very, very influential player for Mayo, and I think Cork have recognised that by putting probably their best man marker on him.
Fine take by Seamus O'Shea, and Alan Dillon goes direct in on top of Freeman. Broken away by Michael Shields and mopped up by John Miskela, who goes across the face of his own goal. And Alan Quirk clears his lines as far as Fintan Gould. Cork now trying to exploit any space they can find on this break. Kissan clipped into the centre towards O'Connor again. Gets there out in front of Tom Kniff. He's got Paddy Kelly away to his left. Instead, he pops it in towards Alan O'Connor. O'Connor, the Cork midfielder, who could pop up just about anywhere. Here he is again. All the inside men tightly marked as O'Connor pops that in front of Fiacre Lynch. Timed his run well. Kick half blocked down. And there was a foul by Paul Kerrigan on Donal Vaughan. And Mayo get the free. But it's all very tight and tense in these first 9 minutes. Mayo doing everything they can to stay in this game for as long as they can, as Trevor Mortimer pumps that in towards Enda Varley, getting his first championship start of the season, going to take on Cotter. Wide on his own side. He's very much a left-sided player, Enda Varley, and there straight away made a quick angle for himself, but unable to steer it between the posts as Alan Quirk pops this one out towards Pierce O'Neill, avoiding a contest around the middle. This is Owen Cadigan, and now Paddy Kelly, still being shadowed by Trevor Mortimer. Little tug on the jersey, referee plays the advantage. Again, there's nothing obvious on inside as Cadigan finds his route to goal blocked by a couple of Mayo men. His arm tugged back, and that's another free to Cork. But certainly they're having their work cut out, so far at least, to find any obvious avenues of attack.
They certainly are, and playing a slightly different game than they played against Down. If you remember last weekend, they kicked long early on to the full forward line. Mayo are dropping Donal Vaughan back into the edge of the D, and that's impacting on their ability to kick quality ball inside.
Well, that's one way to beat that mass defence. Donnacha O'Connor shooting on sight. He got out in front of Tom Kniff, knew exactly where he was and what he wanted to do, and Cork lead by 3 again. That's a goal and a point now for Donnacha O'Connor, the goal from the penalty spot, and the All-Ireland champions restore that cushion. Breaking ball won by Fintan Gould. Coming on the break is Pierce O'Neill. This is Kissan into Alan O'Connor. Lovely move. Here's Kerrigan. He takes his point. He certainly had goal on his mind. Lovely move by Cork. They cut a great gap in the heart of that Mayo defence, and they very nearly were in for a second goal.
Yeah, that's beautiful interplay by Cork. But again, Mayo midfielder on that occasion was Aidan O'Shea, got his hands on the ball, but Cork knocked it out of his hands very quickly. And they've picked up, I think Cork have won 5 or 6 of the 7 kickouts so far, but most of them won on the ground. So their players are winning the breaks very, very effectively, and great teamwork and a very good score.
Robert Henley's kick-out landing right on top of Aidan Walsh, and this will allow Cork to go on the front foot through Paul Kerrigan again, who's drifted out the field now to fill in as playmaker. Manages to find Fiachra Lynch, the Valley Rovers man. A late inclusion in this Cork team in place of Nicholas Murphy. As Cork slow the game down, Aidan Walsh, just one man to aim at. It has to be a precision pass, batted away by Tom Kniff and cleared away by Robert Henley as Andy Moran goes back into his own defence to help out, linking up here with Aidan O'Shea. Andy Moran, incidentally, who hasn't missed a league or championship game for Mayo for over 5 years, and ever present as he slips this through towards Alan Freeman. Thought about taking on Michael Shields, kicking from a very awkward angle, and that's gone across the face of the goal and wide.
Yeah, of course, we have to remember Mayo haven't played in these type of conditions for quite some time. David Brady was mentioning on the introduction and the analysis that both the Connacht semi-final and final were played in atrocious conditions and didn't allow Mayo, I suppose, to play that quick ball into the forward line. They have a fast full forward line. Alan Freeman is very, very good when he gets the ball outside, but that was a poor miss.
Noel O'Leary knocking it down the line to Paul Kerrigan, who gets there in front of Keith Higgins again. This is Fiachra Lynch going to take on Ger Cafferty. Down he goes. It's a free into Cork, and once more he was heading for the square. Ger Cafferty, who's already on a yellow card and will have to be very careful, but he is finding Fiachra Lynch to be a real handful.
Absolutely, and once again the player gets inside the defender, it's very, very difficult to stop the attacking player without fouling him. On that occasion, I think it was an accidental foot trip, so I think the referee was right not to take any decision. But Ger Cafferty, you're right, Mike, he is on a yellow card very early in a big championship game to have a yellow over your head, so he has to watch himself for the rest of the game.
And up comes Fintan Gould. He had a goal and 2 points here last against Down. That's his first of the day. Cork ease into a 5-point lead. And to be honest, Paul, they're exactly where they wanted to be after some 14 minutes.
Absolutely, but it's the dominance around the middle of the field that's really allowing them to push players forward, push the half-back line forward, as they've done so effectively in many, many games over the last couple of years, and again today.
Cork cleaning up on breaking ball in this first quarter of an hour, and again they win possession from the Mayo kick-out. And this is Owen Cadigan driving down the field. Trevor Mortimer is the nearest Mayo player to him. Once more, there's just one man to aim at in on the edge of the square. They go short. This is Fintan Gould. Richie Feeney slipped. Goal on here for Cork, perhaps. Kerrigan's gone for it, and it's blocked away for a 45 by Keith Higgins. Well, they are certainly in sniffing for goals. Hit 2 last Saturday night, and there's a second one threatening here.
Yeah, fantastic block there by Keith Higgins. Going the opposite direction, had to turn very, very quickly, get his hands down, did tremendously well. But I think Mayo have got to commit more players to the breaking ball around the middle of the field. Whenever it breaks, Cork are attacking the breaking ball at pace and winning them. Mayo are standing still around that position, around that area. They've got to commit 2 or 3 more players, or certainly a couple of more players in there, stifle Cork, stop their ability to make those surges forward.
Last time these teams met at Croke Park was the league final last year. Donncha O'Connor hit 5 points in that match, and that is 1-2 in this All-Ireland quarter-final. Really is on top of his game recently, Donncha O'Connor. And Cork now 6 points in front. No surprise to see the Mayo selector James Nallen in there, just having a quick word with the goalkeeper Robert Henley. Mayo in dire need of mixing up their kickouts as Aidan Walsh smashes that ball back, but only as far as Donal Vaughan. And down the line with it goes Seamus O'Shea. Owen Cadigan was fouling Cillian O'Connor, and it'll be a free from where the ball landed.
Watch in, see him again. Yeah.
Cork, of course, overwhelming favourites to win this match. on the back of their very impressive performance here last Saturday night. Slight concern for them, maybe the sight of O'Connor receiving some attention at the moment, as Cillian O'Connor at the other end tries to steady himself. Mayo need everything they can get in this first half, and O'Connor makes no mistake. That's his second point. Just keeps that scoreboard ticking over. And as we said in the Connacht final so many times, Paul, for a young player showing tremendous composure on the big stage.
Absolutely, and former minor here, played All-Ireland minor finals here and did very, very well. Took responsibility in the Connacht final. What will be pleasing to Mayo and positive for them is that when they do win ball in midfield, they're obviously kicking directly into the full forward line, and they're winning the ball out in front.
Kevin McLaughlin, first chance for the wing forward from Knockmore to have a run at goal. Meets Owen Cadigan, though, dispossessed very easily. And back goes John Miskela to take care of the housekeeping and get it out initially as far as Cotter, and now Michael Shields. But for a moment there, Mayo threatening, with the sheer physical strength of Owen Cadigan bringing that move to an end. Cork very casual with this, but eventually get it out as far as Owen Cotter. Noel O'Leary again, he breaks from right half back, looking full of energy and running in this first half so far. O'Connor is the target man, and that ball last touched the Cork full forward.
Yeah, here's what Mayo cannot afford to do, is solo the ball into the tackle. The Cork team are physically very, very strong in defence. They've got to offload before they commit the player to the tackle, as we saw on that occasion. Kevin McLaughlin trying to go by a player, easily dispossessed, allow Cork to counter-attack.
Well, the linesman on this near side, Maurice Condon from Waterford, took a moment to make up his mind on that call. Rory Hickey eventually stepped in to give him his support, and Donnacha O'Connor drills it in. Cleared away by Seamus O'Shea, and now Alan Dillon, who's had a quiet game so far, the Mayo captain. This is Andy Moran. Does so much to set the pace and the tempo for this Mayo team. Endavarley outnumbered 2-1, and easy in the end again for Cork to win possession and to pick out any pass they want. O'Leary caught late by Aidan O'Shea. O'Leary is down and feeling the effects of that hit from the big Mayo midfielder. Well, certainly the ball had gone when O'Shea stepped in.
Yeah, of course, that may have been allowed a couple of years ago, when you were allowed to shoulder the player who was in the act of kicking the ball, but not any longer, and considered dangerous play by the referee, and he's given a yellow card to Aidan O'Shea.
So Aidan O'Shea making his 10th championship appearance. He's been booked, Cork manager Conor Coonahan, as he likes to do, sitting in the stand for some, if not all, of this match. Gets a slightly elevated view of proceedings. And now watching Fintan Gould standing over this free, deputising for the injured Daniel Goulding in terms of frees, and that ball scrambled out over the line. It'll go down officially as Cork's second wide. "20 minutes gone, and still that Donnacha O'Connor goal from a penalty leaping out from the scoreline. Free, won by Mayo, taken by Kevin McLaughlin, looking to set to Andy Moran away. Moran, who has moved into the full forward line now, did it to good effect against Roscommon in the Connacht final. This time he's trying to act as provider for Trevor Mortimer. Recycled back to Alan Dillon. Little jink to go past Cadigan. Here's McLaughlin, chance of a score, and Kevin McLaughlin slots it up and over the bar. Much better from Mayo. That's their first point from play. Finished by McLaughlin and set up by Alan Dillon.
And you mentioned, and rightly so, like that Roscommon or Mayo alternated Andy Moran and Alan Freeman a few minutes before the half-time in the Connacht final, and worked very effectively. They got a couple of points that were very, very important. They've done it again now. Andy Moran winning the ball, recycling it to Kevin McLaughlin on a fine point. Well, he's made the decision, I think, Rory Hickey, that the ball didn't go outside the 13-metre line and the 20-metre line.
Well, a hot ball and possession. The moment looked like it had been lost by Cork, spilled in the tackle. Or even if that ball had hit the net, it wouldn't have counted. You could hear Rory Hickey's whistle blowing from up here. An untidy little piece of play there in front of the Cork goal. And Alan Quirk wearing the look of a fairly relieved man. Well, the Mayo crowd, some of whom have already climbed the reek this morning on what is Reek Sunday, of course, trying to make themselves heard here at Croke Park as their team enjoy some territorial dominance. McLaughlin, he's gone right through. Kevin McLaughlin, oh, what a goal! What a time to score your first championship goal. Kevin McLaughlin cutting a hole right through the heart of the Cork defence, and didn't he do well?
Oh, fantastic run from McLaughlin, a great catch in the middle from Aidan O'Shea. Knocked it to McLaughlin, he had only one thing on his mind, went directly at the Cork defence and finished with a plumb to the roof of the net. Fantastic score, huge lift to Mayo. Mayo have won the last 4 kickouts and they're moving forward at pace and putting severe pressure on the Cork defence.
Well, we might just, after all, have a game on our hands. It's back to a 1-point match as Rory Hickey has gone right down to the far end of the field, down in front of Hill 16 to speak to his umpires. James Horan and James Nallen will have a much different perspective on this match now. Rocked by the concession of an early penalty, which was tucked away brilliantly by Donegal O'Connor. But that goal from Kevin McLaughlin, just Mayo's second goal in the championship, has got them right back in this match. Now Donal Vaughan has been called across here by Rory Hickey, and for something that happened off the ball, he becomes the 3rd Mayo player to be booked. Young man who was born in Canturk in County Cork, and he now will have to be very careful. But 23.5 minutes gone, and this All-Ireland quarter-final, Paul, it's finally come to life.
Absolutely, and great credit to Mayo. They have responded magnificently to Cork's early dominance, and take huge confidence out of the fact that when they're winning ball in midfield, their forwards are doing well inside if they can get quick ball in.
Seamus O'Shea again winning primary. The ball ran loose, gobbled up by Cillian O'Connor out there to help out his half forwards. This is Aidan O'Shea. Looks like he's made a trip to the barber since the Connacht final. Slips into that tackle. Once more he brought the ball into contact, and now away goes Noel O'Leary. Cork perhaps stung into action. Pearse O'Neill brilliantly flicked through. This is Fiacre Lynch flicking it through. Kerrigan! It's in the net. Paul Kerrigan from Nemo Rangers has flicked in Cork's second goal. The perfect response from the All-Ireland champions.
And again, it came from inexperience in the Mayo team. A fantastic finish here, by the way, from Kerrigan, just running across and just getting his hand to it. Wonderful finish, but Aidan O'Shea carried the ball into contact again, soloed 3 or 4 times on the 45-metre line, was dispossessed, and Cork, with the quality that they have, are able to counter-attack at pace and finish with a great goal. Mayo have got to stop doing that if they're going to be competitive and win this game.
Well, that's Paul Kerrigan's second goal of the championship, and it has rocked the Connacht champions Mayo right back in their heels again. And once more they must come out and play. But Cork, they're at their very best, moving the ball at pace and power right down the middle. And a lovely deft little finish by Paul Kerrigan. Alan O'Connor, poor ball, easily cut out by Richie Feeney. And now Seamus O'Shea flicks it outside to his younger brother Aidan. Once more he's brought that ball into the tackle, and that'll be a Cork line ball.
Well, the linesman has given the decision to Mayo on this occasion.
Once more Maurice Condon thinking on his feet there as Alan Dillon clips it through to his clubmate in Ballintubber, Cillian O'Connor. Popped off to Andy Moran. Nothing on through his first route. Decides to kick from a standing position, and that was beautifully done. Andy Moran's first point of this All-Ireland quarter-final. It's pared the gap back to 3 points again, and he did really well.
Excellently well. He can kick with both his left and his right. But notice as well that Cillian O'Connor has won 3 or 4 balls out in front of his marker, and it's Owen Cadigan who's marking him, by the way, and Owen Cadigan's one of the tightest markers. Cillian O'Connor, very, very young player, but excellent player, and he's been involved in a lot of good things that Mayo have done.
Noel O'Leary from Kilnamartyra to Aidan Walsh from Kanturk, and O'Leary sneaking forward to get involved in the move again. Little decoy run made by Fiachra Lynch. Instead, Cork will hold possession and build patiently this time. Kissan to the goal scorer Paul Kerrigan. Quick change of direction to try and lose Keith Higgins. Then deliver the pass inside to Fintan Gould, who's brought Richie Feeney with him to that left-hand side. Gould involved again as Mayo drop 12 men back inside their own 45-metre line. Kerrigan beats the first tackle. Taken down by a shoulder from Aidan O'Shea, and in the end simply ran out of road. Mayo defending in numbers that time. Well, this match now very delicately poised. Very few people would have expected to have seen 3 goals in the first 25 minutes. Alan Dillon, almost like a point guard, just looking around, scanning the horizon. Here's Alan Freeman. Seamus O'Shea trying to hold off Alan O'Connor. Manages to flick it through to Dillon, measuring that pass towards Trevor Mortimer, who gets there just in front of Owen Cotter. Mortimer, a little isolated, flips it in the general direction of Cillian O'Connor, but good defending by Owen Cadigan. And the Cork dual star gets it away to the far side to Fiachra Lynch. Steps by Aidan O'Shea. Just Paul Kerrigan to aim at inside. Mayo have plenty of bodies back, including Richie Feeney. Well, it's been very much a tactical battle in the last 15 minutes after a fairly open start. Mayo have got much more organised, much harder to break down, and this game still very much alive.
Yeah, still very much alive, and again, anytime Cork are attacking, Mayo are dropping that extra player back at the edge of the D, and we saw there it was Richie Feeney that picked up that ball. Gerard Cafferty picked up one previously, so they're not allowing Cork any latitude in front of goal, and they're forcing Cork to be patient and to try and build through the middle, and Mayo have been very successful in blocking them so far.
Alan Freeman has just become the 4th Mayo player to be booked in this first half, as Andy Moran hangs on for dear life there, fouled by a combination of John Miskela and Fintan Gould. He'll take the free himself. Alan Freeman, who's drifted into the full forward line again, beats O'Leary in the air. O'Leary standing him up, but fouling him in the process, and that will be a free into Mayo. And just when that free was awarded, interesting to see Andy Moran turning towards the Hogan stand and imploring the Mayo support to get behind their team. Well, after quite a slow start now, they're beginning to find their feet.
Well, Andy Moore again. Andy has switched with Alan Freeman. He's playing in full forward, but when he won that ball outside, Alan Freeman drifted in from wing half forward right into the edge of the square. It might be a pre-planned move, and maybe a height advantage over Noel O'Leary. Won it well and sucked in the tackle from Noel O'Leary and the foul. Good play by Mayo. 3
points now from the boot of 19-year-old Cillian O'Connor. 2 points between the teams as this crucial period before half-time looms into view. Seamus O'Shea climbing highest up above Aidan Walsh. He's had a really good first half, the young Brafey man. Linking up with Enda Varley. There are 2 of the Mayo players who played against Cork in that under-21 final 5 years ago. Varley has his kick blocked down, and Alan O'Connor back to gobble up the break. Also Made short work of Andy Moore and there, Alan O'Connor, as he made some room for himself. As Fiacre Lynch runs down a blind alley on the far side, links up eventually with Paddy Kelly. Looked initially like Rory Hickey had awarded a free there. Instead, lets the play continue. Alan Dillon growing more and more into this match, finding Andy Moore, who again peels away to that left-hand side to bring Michael Shields out of the middle. Needs support, but it's very slow in arriving. This is Keith Higgins up from corner back. Doesn't score very often, and that is well wide. The corner back on a rare sally down the field, and that will go down as Mayo's fourth wide of this All-Ireland quarter-final.
What's very interesting, Mike, is that Mayo are winning the kickouts, the Cork kickouts, and Cork are winning the Mayo kickouts. You'd expect it to be the other way around, particularly with Mayo, because the two midfielders, the two O'Shea brothers, come from the same club as Robert Hennebury.
Well, that's a very short kick out again from Alan Cork. It did find Owen Cadigan, but he's picked up a knock. And I think that short kick out may have as much to do with the dominance of Seamus O'Shea in the last 10 or 15 minutes as it has with anything else.
Absolutely.
Owen Cadigan is in need of some attention, and we'll have a stoppage now as half-time gets a little closer.
Well, the expectation was coming into this game that Cork's midfield would be far too strong for Mayo, and certainly in the first 10-15 minutes they were very, very dominant, but Mayo have responded magnificently, and Seamus O'Shea in particular is catching a lot of very, very good high ball. And we saw last week Cork persist with a lot of short kickouts against down. They worked very effectively, varied the kick-out strategy, not doing it today as much. Probably felt that their midfield should be well able to compete with Mayo, but it hasn't worked out that way in the last 10 minutes, and Mayo will get a huge boost of confidence coming into half-time.
Well, there you can see where Aidan O'Shea lost the ball in the tackle and the move that led to Paul Kerrigan's goal. Mayo playing very dearly for that loss of possession, as Owen Cadigan in real time is back on his feet. Mayo have hit the last 2 points of the match. Cork in search of something to take with them into the rest of half-time as Trevor Mortimer breaks up this latest Cork attack and links up with the goal scorer, Kevin McLaughlin. Alan Dillon was roaring for it on the left flank. Instead, Aidan O'Shea goes long, and Alan Cork gets the fist to it, but not very convincingly. Pierce O'Neill just eating up the ground there as he got to the ball in front of Andy Moore. Back to his captain, Michael Shields. This is Fintan Gould, as Mayo tried to apply the squeeze across that Cork 45-metre line. Aidan Walsh now. All the runs covered in the Mayo half of the field. Owen Cadigan had some work to do to win that ball. Crashes into Keith Higgins and then pumps it into the space in front of Donncha O'Connor. Once more, he's in front of Tom Kniff. Lynch spots Kerrigan, drifts inside, and Paul Kerrigan, using the right fist, pops it up and over the bar. Cork's first score for some 10 minutes means they lead by 3 again. And Paul Kerrigan, one of those players that you can't afford to take your eye off for a moment.
No, he drifts inside so effectively, did it for the goal, did it for that score as well, but the focal point of Cork's attack is Donncha O'Connor, and when he's on the ball, things happen. He passed it out on that occasion to Fintan Gould, who hit a lovely ball into Kerrigan for a good point for Cork.
Robert Henley's kick out went right down the middle again, and Cork once more take possession. Pressure being applied by Alan Dillon, forcing maybe an extra hand pass there, but Fiacre Lynch gets it outside to Pierce O'Neill. We'll have at least 1 minute of additional time at the end of this first half, as Pierce O'Neill, first chance for him in quite a while to run at that Mayo defence. Alan O'Connor dispossessed by Aidan O'Shea this time, and now Cillian O'Connor wearing 15 but playing a lot of this game out the field. Andy Moore now at full forward. Spots the run of Trevor Morton. Well blocked down by Aidan Walsh. Spread himself, made himself big. As Mortimer looks to release Alan Dillon. And that's a foul and a free into Mayo.
I think what's positive for Mayo going into half-time is that their two key forwards, Alan Dillon, particularly in the last 10 minutes, has got into the game, and Andy Moran at full forward is certainly winning everything in front of Michael Shields and bringing other players into the game as well. He's a distributor as well as a scorer, and Mayo will look to the second half with an awful lot of confidence, given that those two players are on song today.
Cillian O'Connor has a 100% record from the free so far, 3 from 3. And this just his 4th appearance in senior championship football. We're heading towards the end of the 2nd minute of additional time, and Cillian O'Connor reduces the margin to just 2 points. Rory Hickey, the referee, calls for the ball, and this All-Ireland quarter-final is far from over. James Horan, the Mayo manager, will be very pleased by and large with how his team have battled back from the concession of an early goal. A penalty from Donegal O'Connor, getting Cork off to the perfect start. Still all to play for though. It's half-time. Cork 2-5, Mayo 1 goal and 6.
So All-Ireland champions Cork have 2 goals but only a 2-point advantage. We'll have analysis of this intriguing game after this.
SuperValu, proud sponsors, real supporters of the GAA Football All-Ireland Championship.
Arthur. To Arthur. To Martha. To Martha. To Farmers. To Barbers. To Lemons. To Martians. Yeah. To Martians. Chihuahua. To Boston.
Join the Arthur's Day celebrations at 17:59 on the 22nd of September.
There's lots of great new movies out now to rent at Extravision. See Matt Damon at his best in the must-see thriller The Adjustment Bureau. Or catch Liam Neeson in Unknown. If you like Taken, you're gonna love this. Or watch Bradley Cooper with Robert De Niro in the mind-blowing movie Limitless. Watch any of these movies for only €4 per night. Or watch them with our deal. Rent any 2 movies for 2 nights, get a 1.25-litre soft drink and a fresh popcorn, all for just €10. See the biggest stars and movies first, only at your local Extravision.
See Meter's new top-up deals. Everyone gets something free, whether it's free text, talk or internet.
Everyone? What about eat all your Jaffa cakes and never tell you Barry? Is he going to get something? Or Graham? Talk over you even though you're already talking. He can't get something.
Yes, with Meteor, everyone gets something free. Even people who top up by a £5. You're cheating X.
Sorry. 1 sec.
Not busy, but busy barman guy. Miss Sarcastic.
Half day.
Wide leg Dave. Absolutely everyone.
There's $8.78 for the chicken balls.
Even him. Meteor's mighty top-up deals from €5. Everyone gets something free only with Meteor, your social network.
If you think all broadband's the same, think again. UPC's unbeatable fibre power will more than triple your current broadband speed, leaving ordinary broadband in the shade. Which means the whole family can do even more online, all at the same time.
Switch and get 25 meg fibre power broadband, the TV you love and your home phone for the lowest everyday price for all 3 services, just €60 a month. To triple your broadband speed, visit upc.ie or call 1890 940 630.
It's the Fusion Pro Glide Challenge. Woo! Hello, buddy. How's your shave?
Sometimes it snags. It's grabbing the hair too much.
See how shaving may cause uncomfortable tug and pull. That's why Gillette is introducing new Fusion Pro Glide.
Wow, it just doesn't pull.
That's gliding.
Now Fusion Pro Glide has been engineered with Gillette's thinnest blades ever, so it glides for less tug and pull. Turn shaving into gliding and skeptics into believers.
Well, good shave.
New Fusion Pro Glide. Take it, come on! You got bigger. All right, all right.
Why get one quote when you can get 14? Chill talk to over 14 insurers to find you the best deal. Chill Insurance. We'll take it from here. The next generation is here. Amazing graphics in the palm of your hand. Greatest games. Some you'd expect, and some you might not. Hardware that's on a whole new level. With state-of-the-art online functionality and inch-perfect precision controls. This is not DS. This is Nintendo 3DS.
The same hoarse voices, the same clenched fists, the same words uttered that some sitters missed. The same heads shaken, the same moments replayed, the same excuses given for daft predictions made. The same soaring highs, the same crashing lows, the same oh yeses, the same oh noes. The same old characters, the same place in the stands, the same mad passions. We're the same, we're fans. Championship every Monday in the Irish Examiner.
Come on, lads, the club needs the money.
Less talking, more scrubbing.
Ulster Bank GAA Force, helping your club matters.
So at half-time, the All-Ireland champions Cork have a 2-point lead. Donald O'Connor's early penalty gave them the advantage. Another goal from Paul Kerrigan. But Mayo coming back into the game with Kevin McLaughlin's goal and a point, very important to them. Let's have a look at some of the stats from the first half. Possession very strongly in Cork's favour, 57% of the possession. And most of the shots are going for scores, 7 out of 12 in Mayo's case, 7 out of 11 in Cork's case. Only 2 wides for Cork, 4 for Mayo. But already the yellow cards mounting up, 4 for Mayo and 2 for Cork, and that could end up being significant a little bit later. So Cork not having it all their own way, despite Peter having a hell of a start with a slightly controversial penalty.
Well, I didn't think it was controversial. I thought the referee got it right. O'Connor, I don't think he'd done anything different than any other forward would have done. He got a few yards on his man. It was out there, when 30 yards out, when Catholic lost him and allowed O'Connor 3 or 4 yards, which he exploited to the full, and it was a reckless tackle. He went in high with the arm. If he had a tackle with the near arm, I think he would have got away with it.
It's clever play, it's clever forward play. We tackled high, you grab the defender and bring him down with you, and that's exactly what he did.
At the end of the day, there was no way Ger Caffrey was going to dispossess the ball by putting his hand over the top. The goalkeeper probably should have came a bit sooner, but it wasn't.
Did he not grab his arm into him though as it came across?
Foot forward. Man, if you put your hand in the fire, you get burnt. He put his hand over the top, and it means you can't do it. And you know, it's for forwards, you're going well done. Good forward play.
It was as easy for him to tackle with the near hand in that position as it was to tackle with his right hand. And I don't think the referee would have given a penalty if he had reached in with his near hand.
Okay, but Mayo did come back to it. Cork looked as if they were coasting, putting up the points. But David, the goal that brought Mayo back into the game.
The goal, and you know what? They work very hard, but here again we can see some very poor Cork defending. You know, and it's nearly token tackling, but Kevin McLaughlin, fantastic. You know, for me, bang. Right corner of the net. This guy is an out-and-out back, you know, and it showed great pace and determination from a younger guy in the team.
I think the best way to unhinge any defence is to run straight at them, direct route, and that's exactly what he did. And a great finish with Kevin.
Associate poor tackling with Cork, but that's exactly what that was. But their second goal,
here's the Cork goal.
But their second goal, as soon as that ball hit the net, I was thinking, what is John Brennan thinking now? Because Derry scored an identical goal to this against Kildare, and they got blown up for square ball.
Boys, we've seen this time and time again.
Sorry, well, you were screaming like a banshee here at Aidan O'Shea as he carried the ball.
I said, let it in, let it in, let it in, let it in. And next thing, he carried it into the team, overturned it. And the thing is, when Cork get on the attack and they're running 2s and 3s.
The key here, Capricky was out of position again. It was him that came across and freed up Faker Lynch. Cork are pulling him away from the full back line. He's a natural full back. He doesn't appear happy out there whatsoever.
He's not comfortable around the middle of the field because that's not what his position.
And they're exploiting him.
Look, the mistake was punished again. That's the key to this. Aidan O'Shea had an option. Andy Moran was running hard inside. He didn't let it go, and Cork will punish you on the counter attack.
We've seen it all weekend. When weak teams, Roscommon scored a goal last night, bang. Tyrone went up and scored within a minute. The same thing happened today. You can't relax when you score. You got to put the pressure on.
Well, there's still plenty in this game. We'll be back after this break.
Experience more. Aircom, proud sponsor of the GAA Football Championship.
When you pick up the Star, you're getting an Irish view on things from journalists who are true sports fans just like you. Channeling the spirit of Gaelic games, we've Davy Fitz and Martin McHugh. And if horses set your pulse racing, read Europe's top tipster, Kieran O'Connell. While Eddie Hobbs makes the most of your money, Michael O'Connell the front line of Irish crime. And on Celeb Watch, Georgia Salpa reveals all. On every page, in every way, it's part of what we are. We're the Star, and we're better because we're Irish.
It's the night, just different. Be inspired by whatever surprises, thrills, whatever. It's your turn. Hugo Just Different, a new fragrance.
Mags, there's a few issues with the customers.
Well, I should hope so.
You were over-insuring some, overcharging the rest, and pricing young drivers out of the market. Brilliant! That's why I'm so proud to give you the Employee of the Month award.
Oh, but the hockey! It was the training.
Brilliant!
No nonsense, Dotty! Low-cost car insurance. Get the cover you really need for less.
Meet the house guests. Who are not house trained.
That's not cute.
They make noise. They make mess. And this year, they're making themselves at home.
Yes!
Mr. Popper's Penguins in cinemas August 5th.
SareView is here. That's Irish digital TV with no monthly bills. Check out the great value Nordmende range at powercity.ie and make sure your next television is SareView approved.
Bring on the provincial finalists. Bring on the counties who have fought their way through the qualifiers. Bring on the roars and shouts of support as the battle for the Liam McCarthy Cup intensifies. The GAA Hurling Championship. Sponsored by Etihad Airways, Centra and Guinness. Tickets from GAA.ie and Ticketmaster. Bring it on. Okay, guys, bring that baby back.
Put the beers on ice, Houston. We're on our way.
Tell our kids, Daddy's coming home.
Firearm number 5.
Course 90. Coordinates locked.
Planet Earth, good to see you, buddy.
Houston, we're back.
Shannon Airport regrets delays due to an unscheduled arrival. 2 for 1 from €89.
Will you win €1 million with prize bonds this month?
Looking nifty 50.
Need a number nifty? Call 11850.
Sign up for free to get daily deals in your town. livingsocial.com.
Aircom and the GAA. Experience more.
Here in the Rocky Mountains, we know how beer should be served. So when you see those mountains turn blue, you know that what you're about to experience is not just cold, it's Rocky Mountain cold. Coors Light, Rocky Mountain Refreshment.
SuperValu, proud sponsors, real supporters of the GAA Football All-Ireland Championship.
So Cork have a 2-point lead, 2-5 to 1-6 against Mayo. The kick-out strategy here, David, you were worried about Henley's kick-outs.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's no real variance in them. They're all going down the middle, and what Mayo is trying to do is to try and pull as many guys back towards Henley, so it's leaving them, sparse around midfield. And what is happening, Cork have more men around midfield because Mayo are sitting back and they're losing the majority of their kick-outs.
Now let's have a look at the Cork kick-outs, Peter, because they started going against them as the half progressed.
It's very interesting. Look, of the 5 kick-outs that Cork have won, 4 of them were inside their own 45. Which is again very unusual for Cork when they're so dominant in there and around the middle. I'm surprised both their midfielders are changing over and coming short, looking at rather than just holding their position and fighting for it out there.
What you can see is them 5 kickouts, short kickouts they got were in the first 15 minutes when they were on top. What Mayo decided to do is let's not sit back, let's go man on man and let's everyone fight for the one thing, and that's when they started playing.
Yeah, they were 1-3 to a point down after 38 minutes, and it looked like it was going to be a whitewash, and the response has been just exactly what the manager would have wanted. They can throw the kitchen sink at them now in the second half.
Peter, let's have a look at this penalty incident. Mayo, just a minute after Cork got the penalty, perhaps could have had a penalty. Do you think it was one?
No, the angle that we're going to get a look at here, Andy Moran, he's going nowhere there. He's done very well to get himself into position, even to win a free. And Noel O'Leary, did the contact for the foul? It was definitely a foul. Did the contact happen outside the square or inside it?
No, it happened. Noel O'Leary ends up in the box. Andy Moran is well inside the box. He actually was nearly a rugby tackle. And O'Leary landed inside the box.
But the referee was directly in line. I think the initial
the teams are back out in the pitch. I want to get quick predictions. David, do you think Mayo now do it?
You know what? The same. They need to start. But remember, Ronan McGarity, Paddy Ganner, they need to come on soon, not at the end.
OK, we've got to go back over to our commentary team, Paul Early and Mike Finnerty.
Thanks, Matt. Welcome back. Perfect timing. Crowd just confirmed, incidentally, 22,732 here for this double header this afternoon. As the second half gets underway, referee Rory Hickey throws the ball in. Mayo, well, they'll be playing from right to left in this second half, chasing down a 2-point deficit. And one of the talking points at half-time, the fact that in their last 2 matches, Mayo have conceded a total of only 3 points in the second half. 2 against Galway in the Connacht semi-final, just 1 against Roscommon last time out. You'd have to think that impressive record will come under considerable threat in the next 35-odd minutes. Well, they've won a free-in through Alan Dillon right from the very start here. But, Paul, their second-half record's very impressive, Mayo, in the last couple of matches. And that will probably have been one of the points James Horan has been making in that dressing room at half-time.
Yes, no doubt about that, but I suppose you do have to take into account the conditions again. I know they were extremely impressive against Galway in Castlebar in the Connacht semi-final, in scoring, I think it was 1-8 to a point, conceding only a point in that game. And of course against Roscommon in the Connacht final, they were playing with a strong wind. Roscommon playing against a very strong breeze, only conceded 2, but it's a great start for Mayo. Again, a good score to start the second half, and only a point at this stage. And Mayo full forward line again, winning ball out in front of the Cork defence, and Cork been needlessly undisciplined.
That was a good confident kick from Enda Varley. It's his first point of the match. Comes from free on the right hand side, and now the gap is back to the minimum. Seamus O'Shea, he's had a powerful game. That solo though left a little too high, invited the tackle of Owen Cadigan, who's picked up a knock in the process of intercepting that ball. But certainly Seamus O'Shea knows just one way to goal, and that's the direct route. By the looks of things, Andy Moran has started this second half in the Mayo full forward line as Conor Coonahan feels it's time to make a change. Graham Canty is into the Cork team. Man who played here against Mayo back in the All-Ireland quarter-final in 2002. Also the man who lifted Sam Maguire, of course, last September, and the player who's been taken out, Noel O'Leary. So the All-Ireland champions in a real game here now. Of course, without Daniel Goulding today, also forced to plan without Colm O'Neill and Kieran Sheehan. Really, their attacking resources stretched to the limit. As Graham Canty is forced backwards by Cillian O'Connor. Here's Owen Cadigan again. Just managed to release that ball before the tackle came in. Paddy Cassan, and now Fintan Gould. Once more, Cork have isolated Donnacha O'Connor and Paul Kerrigan. Ball goes through the hands. This is Cassan, the all-star, popped inside to Donnacha O'Connor, who came out to meet him, trying to bend that one in, but it's gone wide on his own side. Well, Donogh O'Connor made run after run to try and get on the ball there. When he eventually got his shot away, he was outside his range. And certainly Cork struggling to find the kind of rhythm they got into here last Saturday night against Down. Conor Coonahan has also left his seat in the stand, and he's now on the sideline, just yards away from James Horan. Andy Moran bringing, once again, Michael Shields out to the left-hand side with him. Fancies a cut at this. It's a very ambitious kick. It's close. The umpires take a little look, and they feel that drifted just wide. Mayo's 5th of the match.
Again, what was noticeable is that Mayo's first kick out in the second half, they went short. Obviously, looking at James Horan, looking at the stats at half-time, clearly they lost an awful lot of their kickouts on their own kickouts, so a change of strategy early on in the second half.
Breaking ball won by Kevin McLaughlin. He's hit a goal and a point from playing this match so far. Aidan O'Shea takes the free, direct in on top of Andy Moran, who's tussling forward with Michael Shields. Moran does well, trying to turn and get a shot away, but Shields stuck to his task. Mayo get a 45, and that will mean their goalkeeper, Robert Henley, who left his goal line quite regularly against Galway in the Connacht semi-final to kick 45s, has once again been called up to kick this. And if he can nail it, the sides will be level for the first time in this match. He's already scored 3 points in the championship this summer. Not a bad strike rate when you consider he doesn't even kick these for his club. Almost perfect conditions for a place kicker. Very, very slight breeze blowing into his face. Croke Park falls almost completely silent. The Mayo crowd like it. The sides are level for the first time in this All-Ireland quarter-final. And with a half an hour to go, Paul Early, this is not the way it was supposed to be.
No, and certainly Cork are worried, virtue of the fact that they brought on Graham Canty. Noel O'Leary has gone off. And what Mayo are doing, and they did it very successfully in the second half of the Connacht final, is they're kicking very in their forward play, kicking directly in front of the goal and backing their forwards to win ball or win the breaks. And that came from Andy Moran winning possession again out in front of Michael Shields.
Here's Richie Feeney to put Mayo in front for the first time. It's shaved the post. And wide on the left-hand side. Richie Feeney, who celebrated his 28th birthday on Friday, coming up there to join the Mayo attack, and he very nearly hit the target. But it's Mayo, the 5-1 outsiders, to win this match, who are starting now to get their second wind here at Croke Park. Well taken by Alan O'Connor. Moves it on quickly to Donogh O'Connor, being forced out the field by Tom Caniff. This is Fiacre Lynch now, gets there in front of Ger Cafferty, spots the run of Alan O'Connor. It needed to be inch perfect, just over his head, and that move breaks down as Alan Freeman, now operating in the Mayo half-forward line, tries to take on Graham Canty. Brings Seamus O'Shea into the match. He's got Donogh O'Connor for company, and he wins his free. Certainly the pace and the intensity of this match has grown more and more. Here's Owen Cadigan, end of Varley, giving chase as Cadigan is forced to bide his time and slip it through towards Paul Kerrigan. Keith Higgins shadowing his every move. It's a real tit-for-tat battle in that corner. Shovel back outside as far as Paddy Kelly. He's had a quiet match. Again, the final pass, not what it needed to be. Mayo are crowding out the Cork forward line, not giving them time to think, let alone anything else. And it's a tactic that's worked quite well so far. Dillon again. Threads it through towards Cillian O'Connor. Lovely ball from O'Connor to pick out Dillon. Dillon, from point-blank range, has kicked Mayo in front for the first time in this All-Ireland quarter-final. And all of a sudden, Cork have some hard questions to answer. The Mayo captain timing his run to perfection, but the pass from Cillian O'Connor, pure quality.
Well, Alan Dillon was involved in that play on 2 occasions, won the ball way back in his defence, kept going forward. Cillian O'Connor showing great maturity to find Dillon on the run, and Cork under real pressure here. You thought that maybe, you know, a bit like Tyrone and Roscommon yesterday, that a team of the calibre of Cork might have lifted their intensity and their pace at the start of the second half, but it's Mayo who have done that, and done it very successfully so far.
Now Cork trying to respond. It's Miskela who slips it through towards Fintan Gould. No free awarded. Referee Rory Hickey saw nothing wrong with the challenge as the Mayo defence slams shut. Vaughan, great ball to pick out O'Connor. The roar of the crowd now buzzing in his ears as O'Connor takes it a little closer to goal. Andy Moran, Dillon is in around the back, but Alan Quirk claims that ball. It was his ball in his territory, and the Cork goalkeeper spreads it away to the far side to Aidan Walsh. Well, one straw in the wind for Mayo supporters coming into this match was the fact they beat Cork in the National League back in April. 11 of that Mayo team on duty again today. And they certainly have not taken a step backwards since this game started. Ger Cafferty does really well. Cafferty involved again to Kevin McLaughlin, and now Enda Varley managed to manoeuvre himself out in front of Owen Cotter. Ball breaks to Aidan Walsh.
And the big worry, Mike, for Cork at this stage is that Mayo are winning the 50-50 battles, and some of Cork's big players are just not performing. Aidan Walsh isn't doing as well as he did last year's championship. They're only operating really with 2 forwards. Paddy Kelly, Pearse O'Neill need to get into the game very quickly.
Here is Pearse O'Neill, steps by the challenge of Trevor Mortimer. O'Neill kicks on the run. It's just gone wide. Donald Vaughan has collided with Donncha O'Connor by the looks of things. And we'll have a stoppage here. Mayo have hit, incidentally, the last 4 points of the match. Cork haven't scored now for some 13 minutes. And I think everybody waiting, Paul, for Cork to take this game by the scruff of the neck and kick on, but so far they've really struggled to capture that form that saw them sweep past Down last weekend.
Well, absolutely, and at this stage Conor Coonahan is probably looking at the bench and saying, well, who can I bring in? He's running out of forward options in the middle of the field. You have to assume that maybe Nicholas Murphy might have 10 minutes in him, and perhaps now's the time to bring him on, because they need to change the tide around the middle. I think Donncha O'Connor has to be very lucky on that occasion if he wasn't booked, because he's picked up an injury from the clash, but he was certainly at fault. I think he tried to stop Donald Vaughan in his tracks. He was lucky not to get a yellow card at least.
Players thankfully back on their feet, and away we go again. Alan O'Connor hammering this in towards the edge of the square. Lynch jumping with Cafferty, but Tom Kinniff was back to mind the house, and now Keith Higgins away to Alan Dillon. 2 survivors from those All-Ireland finals of 2004 and 2006 in this Mayo team. Here's Alan Freeman. Well won by Andy Moran. Pop back to Freeman on the burst. Graham Canty loses his footing. Recovers well though. Freeman trying to kick over his shoulder, but didn't make good contact. As Owen Cadigan has his gallop stopped by Kevin McLaughlin. Pressure coming in from Cillian O'Connor. It'll go down officially as a wide ball, but the pressure being applied by Cork all over the field now by Mayo, Paul, it's relentless.
Relentless, and again they would have got a huge boost of confidence for the position that they're in at the moment. The work rate that they've shown in the Connacht Championship, they've carried it into this game. They're putting Cork under extreme pressure. The Cork full back line, Michael Shields is struggling with Andy Moran, and surprised again that maybe Coonahan isn't making a change there at this stage. But Mayo really playing with a high level of intensity, and Cork, as I said earlier on, losing the 50-50 battles.
Conor Coonahan has sprung a substitute, Mark Collins, who made his championship debut last weekend against Down. He's in for Fiachra Lynch. Enda Varley is out of the match as James Horan brings in Jason Doherty, a young man who scored 7 goals in the National League for Mayo. lost his place for this All-Ireland quarter-final, but he's in with a little over 20 minutes to go, and this game finally balanced. Free to Cork for a foul on Paddy Kelly. Alan O'Connor manages to step past Aidan O'Shea, but the pass was poor and intercepted by Keith Higgins, who's looked really sharp. Now Aidan O'Shea setting off on another one of these mazy runs. Hopped the ball twice though. Just seemed to get caught in two minds there, Aidan O'Shea. And possession back to Cork. Fintan Gould. This is Paddy Kelly. And now Paddy Kissan. Kissan fires it in, hopefully, but nobody at home. That was over the head of Donegal O'Connor. Paul Kerrigan had drifted out the field. And even with 20 minutes to go, you begin to get the sense that Cork are really missing the likes of Goulding, O'Neill and Sheehan in there close to goal, as this latest Mayo attack peters out as well. 1 point between the teams, 20 minutes to go, and literally anything could happen at this stage.
And looking at the body language of the Cork forwards as well, their heads are down, it's not looking good. The last 4 balls that went in to the Cork full forward line were kicked aimlessly, or Mayo defenders picked the ball up. It's time, I think, for Conor Coonahan to think about a change of strategy in the way they kick the ball in. Maybe even, instead of bringing Nicholas Murphy into midfield, pop him into full forward and kick long into the danger area, because he'd certainly have a height advantage inside, because it's not working otherwise at the moment for them.
Mayo win possession from the Cork kick-out. This is Donal Vaughan up from the half-back line to Andy Moran. Now Kevin McLaughlin and Dillon peels away to the left-hand side. Kissan trying to force him out. Dillon pops it inside towards Doherty, but the ball just ran away from him. Stolen back by Canty. And now Cork will try and play on the break here. They've moved Paddy Kelly into the full forward line. Paul Kerrigan, he's come out to wing forward. Here's Aidan Walsh. Now John Miskela. And Miskela to Kerrigan, trying to use his pace here to take on Trevor Mortimer. Kerrigan spots the run inside of Miskela. Just lost his man for a moment. Down he goes again. Rory Hickey letting it develop, and the final shot was rushed from Miskela under pressure. 5 wides for Cork. Looked for a moment there like Miskela had found some space to work with, but the Mayo cover back very quickly, and the chance was gone.
Well, discipline from Mayo. Again, Trevor Mortimer with the hand in over the shoulder. Miskela went down. Not unlike the decision that went for Cork in the first half for the penalty, but on that occasion the referee didn't give it, and I think rightly so. But again, for Cork in the forward line.
Cillian O'Connor setting off on his merry way, but tracked by Cadigan and hacked away towards Aidan Walsh. Manages to pick out Paddy Kelly. This is Paddy Kissan once more stealing across the halfway line. Donegal O'Connor back to the runner. Pierce O'Neill puts the head down and drives on inside to Kissan, looking for Miskela. Miskela does well here, across the face of the goal, and it's up and over. Well, Paul Kerrigan was sneaking in around the back there, looking for anything that might fall in his direction, but Miskela got just enough on it. The sides are level.
I think on that occasion, again, Miskela, second occasion he's gone forward in the last minute, got the score at that time. Paddy Kissan giving him the pass. I think the half-back line is saying to the forwards, listen lads, we need to be up there to support you because you're not doing it for us in this occasion.
Mayo get the game restarted very quickly. Andy Moran out there in front of Michael Shields, not giving each other an inch. Moran into the centre towards Alan Freeman. Pops it off to Cillian O'Connor, sneaks a quick look at the posts. Kicking for his own score, Alan Quirk once more leaves his line, takes it down confidently. He's got Jason Doherty though snapping at his heels. Ball's in the net, but the goal won't count. Doherty was fouling the goalkeeper. And Jason Doherty there sticking doggedly to his task, trying to knock that ball away from the keeper, who has taken a pretty casual free outside to Michael Shields. And tactically, you start to wonder what Cork and Conor Coonahan might try to do, Paul, to shake Mayo off, to get on top, and to close this game out the way they were supposed to be.
Well, as I said earlier, I think he has a problem around the middle of the field, and he's a problem at this stage in the full forward line. They're not winning, so I think Cork have proven that the patient approach has worked over the last couple of years. Obviously against Dublin last year in the All-Ireland semi-final, they came back from the dead. Against Town in the final also, they didn't change their style or strategy, but maybe someday it's going to beat them, and I think they should change and put in a big man at the edge of the square and just vary the approach a little bit at this stage.
No score for Mayo now for almost 12 minutes. Cork have scored just the once in that time as this game becomes bogged down a little. Space here for Keith Higgins. He had a shot in the first half. He's going all the way, and Keith Higgins makes absolutely certain, carried it as far as he could, and scores his first point of this season's championship. It's enough to put Mayo back in front, and for once there was acres of space in front of that Cork defence.
Well, Keith Higgins doesn't go forward too often, but he's one of the quickest players on the Mayo team, one of the quickest defenders, I think, in the country. And on that occasion, he missed one in the first half. On that occasion, got a great point. And again, Mayo attacking in waves, playing out in front of their players, moving the ball short but quickly and effectively, and getting the ball to the runners coming from deep.
So Mayo back in front for the second time in this match as Seamus O'Shea picks out Jason Doherty, the substitute. He's got pace to burn, but he's got Owen Cotter for company. Manages to lose him, shooting for a very ambitious score, just didn't have the legs. And Cork feeds it outside to Cadigan. Well, this game every bit as close and tight and tense as yesterday's match between Kildare and Donegal, as Aidan Walsh flicks it through to Mark Collins, left it behind, loose player inside is Gould. He's blazed it wide. The goal seemed to be yawning in front of Gould, who scored a goal at the other end last weekend. Robert Henley was out on him very quickly, but he really should have hit the target.
Oh, what a difference a week makes. Last weekend they were popping those inside the near post. Today, just a bit of a rush ball. Tried to side-foot it by Henley. Henley had made himself big, did very good as a as a goalkeeper, and forced him to kick the ball wide, but it's certainly not going for Cork in the forward line at this stage, and a real concern for Conor Coonahan.
Cork outscored in the last 20 minutes by 4 points to 1. The reigning league and All-Ireland champions out of sorts, and in a real dogfight here to escape from this quarter-final with their reputation and title intact. Remember, Kerry waiting for the winners of this quarter-final. Mayo are getting ready to bring in Pather Gardner, a veteran of so many big days here at Croke Park for Mayo, as Doherty again uses his pace to get out in front of Cotter. Acres of space for Andy Moran to run into. Michael Shields a little slow in arriving as Richie Feeney links up with Moran. This is Cillian O'Connor. Cork try to get themselves organised. Mayo probing patiently for a gap. Seamus O'Shea here runs right at the heart of the Cork cover, but too many bodies back there, and cleared away by Pierce O'Neill. O'Shea looks to have injured himself in that latest attack as Paddy Cassan steadies up, gives it short to Mark Collins, and Collins into the space to Donegal O'Connor. Once more though, the Mayo cover arrive very quickly. The reinforcements in to help out Tom Caniff. Ball touched on the ground and Mayo get a free. Well, they were written off completely coming into this match, but they have brought a ferocious work ethic. They've recovered from the concession of an early penalty, and they are in the driving seat, albeit only just, swinging in to the final 13 minutes of this game. Gardner's in for Alan Freeman. Ronan McGarrity is ready to come in. And still no sign, Paul, of Cork getting their second win.
No sign, and this is a very sensible approach now. Sensible, 2 good substitutions, very experienced players. Ronan McGarry to shore up the midfield, and Heather Gardner, of course, came in the Connacht final, kicked a great point to put Mayo one up in that game right at the end.
Jason Doherty, he feels the shot is on, and he's nailed it. The impact substitute from Borishul, Jason Doherty, has kicked Mayo into a 2-point lead. That was an inspirational score. He knew exactly what he was doing. He's only been in the game less than 10 minutes. And Cork, the All-Ireland champions, are 2 points down now.
Yeah, fantastic score from Doherty. He's won a couple of balls earlier on, dropped one in the goalkeeper's hands, but what is noticeable again, every Mayo forward is in front of the Cork defender. This much vaunted Cork defence playing from behind, giving Mayo the options out in front, and Mayo are exploiting the opportunity they get.
So Ronan McGarry, who's had very much an injury-plagued season, is into the match. Seamus O'Shea can do no more. He has worked himself to a standstill. Now, can Cork respond? This is Paul Kerrigan trying to take Cafferty on the outside. Dangerous ball. O'Connor is in there. He got the final touch. But, well, he could only divert it out to the left and wide. And you start to wonder, when you consider they've been outscored since half-time by 5 points to 1, Paul, where are the scores going to come from?
Well, the key threats in the first half, and Cork's 2 best players were Donogh O'Connor and Paul Kerrigan. They're now been marked very, very tightly, and I contrast the Mayo defence with what Cork are doing. Cork are playing from behind their men, Mayo defence are playing from in front of the Cork attack, and it's working for them, and they're putting Cork players under extreme pressure when they're shooting or when they're competing for the ball.
Psychologically as well, it must have been very difficult for Cork to prepare for this match. More or less home and hosed in most people's eyes before a ball was kicked. Unbackable. Money on favourites to progress to an All-Ireland semi-final, and now here they are, 10 minutes to go and 2 points behind. Alan Dillon trying to slip it through towards Doherty, who again gets there in front of Cotter, but this time Pierce O'Neill was back to cover. And now Graham Canty. So much experience, and Cork will need that now in this home stretch. Well won by Mark Collins. James Horan felt that ball was thrown in any event. His team have won it back. Trevor Mortimer, cheeky little pass to Cillian O'Connor. O'Connor is making an angle for himself. Cillian O'Connor, what a score! He's just 19 years of age. He's Mayo's leading scorer in the championship. That's his 5th point of the match, his first from play. He looked like he'd been doing it all his life. Mayo lead by 3 points now.
A fantastic score from O'Connor, and for the last 10 minutes, James Horan had switched him out around the middle of the field as an extra player. Again, challenging the Cork management and the Cork defence to see what they can do to counter-attack that. Wasn't expected, and he's been playing around the middle, picked up a couple of breaking balls as well, and just drifted. Nobody picked him up, and a wonderful score, and Mayo now really in the ascendancy and looked like the All-Ireland champions against Cork.
Nicholas Murphy, who had been named to start this match, he's in. He's being paired up with Ronan McGarry in the middle of the field as Conor Coonahan does everything he can to try and turn this match around. Cork have been completely overwhelmed in this second half. They've been outscored 6 points to 1, and here come Mayo again. Jason Doherty, he's made a real impact since coming in off the bench. Kevin McLaughlin is outside in support. McLaughlin gets it onto his favourite left boot, but he snatched at the shot. Mayo, though, in almost complete control of this match with 8 minutes to go.
Yeah, and if you're a Cork supporter or Cork manager, you're just wondering where the scores are going to come from and who's going to be the game changer in this particular occasion, because Cork look lethargic. Mayo putting them under extreme pressure every time they have the ball. Again, we see it just there. Foul given away, but 2 and 3 Mayo players going to the player in possession. Cork look tired, and they really at this stage don't look as if they have any options, and very surprising that Conor Coonahan isn't putting on a couple of players at this stage to try and change the game.
Well, when you consider that just 12 months ago Mayo were watching the closing stages of the championship from the sidelines after being knocked out by Longford in the first round of the qualifiers, what a difference a year makes. 5 of this Mayo team playing in a championship game here at Croke Park for the first time. But they're looking very comfortable. Andy Moran pulled down by Michael Shields emphatically in front of the Cork goal. That'll be a free in. And Andy Moran is proving to be a very willing and able target man in that Mayo full forward line. He's getting out in front of Shields, giving him a torrid time. And Conor Coonahan feels it's time to bring in another substitute. This is Dennis O'Sullivan from Ballinascarthy. He's a wing back by and large. Fintan Gould, so impressive last weekend, taken out. And he will join the likes of Alan O'Connor and Fiachra Lynch in that Cork dugout.
Well, again, Andy Moran doing tremendously well. He's been out in front, as you said, all through, but you know, with the exception of Donegal, there was a predictable look like to the edges of this championship. And of course, in recent years, Mayo have a tradition of upsetting the favourites. They did it against Tyrone in the All-Ireland quarter-final in 2004. Tyrone were the reigning All-Ireland champions. Mayo put in a tremendous performance then. They did it in 2006, of course, the famous semi-final where they came back from the dead against Dublin. And today they put in a magnificent performance that puts them 4 ahead at this stage.
Well, that is 6 points for Cillian O'Connor, 5 from frees, and Mayo extend their lead to 4. No score for Cork now for 13 minutes. Michael Shields has just picked up a yellow card. And I think it's fair to ask at this stage, Paul, is there to be any way back for Cork with 5.5 minutes to go? They don't look like they're prepared or any way capable of putting together a rally.
Absolutely not. As I said, you'd expect Cork to lift the intensity, lift the pace of the game at this stage, which they have done so successfully in recent years, in the last couple of years, but it certainly doesn't appear to happen to look as if it's going to happen today. Mayo winning everything, and Mayo again, as I said earlier, instead of Cork, they look like the team that are the reigning All-Ireland champions. Cork look very, very tired, and maybe the fact that they've lost those key players, obviously it was going to impact them at some stage, and clearly today they don't have leaders in key positions and are playing like a tired team, but great credit to Mayo for exposing them.
And so far that remarkable second half record they have this summer is continuing. Just 2 points they conceded after half time against Galway, just the 1 against Roscommon, and just the 1 so far here against Cork. It's been almost a total shutout as Pather Gardner tries to beaver his way through, stopped in his tracks by Owen Cadigan. Now Dennis O'Sullivan. Well, the Cork players will have heard that announcement for the Gardaí and stewards to move into their end of match positions. They'll know that time is very much of the essence. They're 4 points behind, and their All-Ireland title very much on the line now. As Mayo, who won a quarter-final here in 2004 against Tyrone, and 5 years ago, of course, as Paul mentioned earlier, that late point from Kieran MacDonald knocked out Dublin in the semi-final. Are they set to upset the form books yet again? They've just won another free, and this will allow the clock to roll down. And Paul Early, I suppose as good a time as any for you to tell us who's your selection for the Aircom man of the match from this All-Ireland quarter-final.
Well, obviously all the contenders are Mayo players. Tremendous display. Aidan O'Shea in midfield. The whole defence have got to hold their hands up and say they all played magnificently. Alan Dillon showed great captaincy and leadership when it was needed. But man of the match, I think Andy Moran has been spectacular today. When he moved in, particularly to the full forward position, he has won every ball that has gone inside and given the players out the field a focal point for kicking a lot of the ball inside. He's scored, he's laid off ball, but more importantly, as I said, he's been the target inside, and he's not a big man, but he's given Michael Shields one of the hardest days he's ever had.
So Andy Moran, who was a real moving target in that full forward line, is the Aircom man of the match from this All-Ireland quarter-final. Remember, the prize on offer for the winners, a place in the last 4 against Kerry, and that flick away from Donald Vaughan would just almost convince you that Mayo will not be denied today. Andy Moran just lost the flight of that ball. It clips his shoulder as Aidan Campbell, just after coming into the match, sparring quite literally there for a moment with Paudie Cassan. But all's well that ends well. Dennis O'Sullivan now. Outside to Paddy Kelly, who has been kept on a very tight leash by Trevor Mortimer. Using all his skill to get away from the tackles. Flicked through to Walsh, he'll go for the goal, it's flicked by a boot. Out for a 45. Well, he was going for the goal, and it took the boot of Donal Vaughan to divert it out for a 45. Robert Henley, you'd have to think, a very relieved man.
Yes, and a couple of Cork players appealing to the referee that it was a foot block, but not a chance. It was at least 3 or 4 metres away before Donal Vaughan put the foot out. And again, even if Cork got that goal, I think they're going to struggle because they have a mountain to climb at this stage.
Donegal O'Connor, who has scored a goal and 2 points in this match. He needs to get this, and he hasn't. There's a Mayo player down just on the penalty spot. It's Richie Feeney as the play continues. This is Aidan Campbell. Plays his club football with Swinford. Flicks it through to Keith Higgins. Mayo now on the cusp of the shock of the championship season. Higgins still going. Fires it in over the top. He's looking for Doherty, but not even the pace of Jason Doherty will get him to that ball. Maybe, just maybe, as good as a score.
Absolutely, and you have to give enormous credit to Mayo. This is just a magnificent performance that they've put in. Written off by everybody, I think 5-1 in the bookies. The bookies rarely get it wrong, but they just played with purpose, with great skill. I love their directness of their game as well. When they win the ball in the midfield, they kicked it long. They backed the forwards to win the ball out in front, and they scored some tremendous scores today. And of course, as I said earlier, in the Connacht Championship, they had 2 very difficult days conditions-wise in the semi-final and final. Weren't able to express themselves and play very well, but again, it looks like a provincial champion is going to defeat one of the qualifiers. Of course, last year we had the 4 provincial champions defeated. This year so far we have 2 of the provincial champions who look like winning.
And things have just got a whole lot worse for Cork. John Miskela sent off by Rory Hickey. They're down to 14 men. The match is in injury time as Mayo try to bring in Lee Keegan to run their bench. It's Richie Feeney who's been taken out. And when you consider Mayo dodged a real bullet against London in the opening round of the Connacht Championship back in May, they were pushed to extra time in that match by the Exiles. Very lucky to get out of there with their championship ambitions intact, and now here they are, less than 3 minutes away from a place in the All-Ireland semi-final against all the odds, and Cork down to 14 men. It has been an incredible afternoon at Croke Park, and it's not over yet. Paddy Kelly. Cork need a goal to have any chance of getting back into this match. It's a dangerous one. O'Connor jumps, it hits Kerrigan. Paul Kerrigan gets his shot away under pressure from Keith Higgins, and Cork will have to be content with a 45. Mayo refused to be denied.
Yeah, that Paul Kerrigan was sitting in the square there, small parallelogram, when the ball was knocked in from Donegal O'Connor, so if he had got a goal, it shouldn't have been allowed. But again, at this stage, Cork need goals, and Mayo have stacked the defence.
Well, the Mayo manager, James Horan, looking as calm and composed as he's ever been. His heart surely must be racing. Donegal O'Connor trying to drop it in, and it's another 45. Well, this adding to the drama and the tension. But Mayo have that 4-point lead, and the All-Ireland champions are on the ropes and a minute away from the knockout blow.
Absolutely, this again an extraordinary performance from Mayo, but a very, very disappointing performance, you have to say, from Cork. And as I said, whether it's tiredness or lack of key players, missing key players, after last week's tremendous performance against Down, it was hard to see a poor quality performance like this. But again, you have to give credit to Mayo for the magnificence of their display, and they didn't allow Cork to play football like they did last weekend. And I think James Horan was at the match. I met him afterwards last week, and I think he obviously saw some opportunities to exploit the Cork defence today.
Tensions running high. Cork have just won a third 45. There's a Mayo player down. Looks like Aidan O'Shea. Pierce O'Neill has been shown a yellow card. Remember, John Miskela has already been sent off. Well, Cork know they are just moments away from losing their All-Ireland title. They have been completely and utterly frustrated, particularly in this second half by Mayo. They've been outscored 7 points to 1 since half-time. They go short with the 45. This is Michael Shields. He's going to drop it in and hope for the best. Wide. It's all over. Who said romance was dead? Mayo, the team that were written off and dismissed as also-rans, have just knocked out the All-Ireland champions. It was billed as David against Goliath, and Goliath are gone. The Connacht champions have beaten Cork for the first time since 1916 and blown the championship wide open. Cork cannot believe it. They have been stunned. The 5-1 on favourites to progress to an All-Ireland semi-final are out of the championship. Mayo and the team that James Horan has been building and is building will meet their old friends in the All-Ireland semi-final in 3 weeks' time. Conor Coonahan and his team are out of the championship race in front of a crowd of just over 22,000. It finished Mayo 113, Cork 2-6.
A beaming David Brady here. Is this even bigger than beating Dublin in the semi-final in 2006, given that you've beaten the champions?
It's always nice to beat the champions, man, but you know, when you're put down and you're told you won't do it, you can't do it, and you'll never do it, that's when we are at their best. We've seen it before when they beat the All-Ireland champions Tyrone. They did it today. You know, I said every man, woman and monkey didn't give them a chance. There's 25 guys out there and management that give them every chance, and they showed it today.
And Peter, of course, you spoke of not since the 1916 did Mayo last beat Cork in the championship.
Another uprising here, surely, and thoroughly deserved. But they got the grips around the middle after a dreadful first 10 or 15 minutes where they couldn't win a ball in around the middle. They really got the grips in there. And 7 points to 1, they outscored the All-Ireland champions in the second half, so Cork can have no excuses.
We will have full analysis of what has been a stunning victory for Mayo over the champions Cork when we come back after this.
Come on, lads. The club needs the money.
Less talking, more scrubbing.
Ulster Bank GAA Force, helping your club matters.
To Arthur.
To Arthur. To Arthur.
To Martha! To Martha! To farmers! To farmers! To Martians! Yeah! To Martians! Chihuahua! To bath time! Time by time!
Join the Arthur's Day celebrations at 17:59 on the 22nd of September.
There's lots of great new movies out now to rent at Extravision. See Matt Damon at his best in the must-see thriller The Adjustment Bureau. Or catch Liam Neeson in Unknown. If you like Taken, you're gonna love this. Or watch Bradley Cooper with Robert De Niro in the mind-blowing movie Limitless. Watch any of these movies for only €4 per night, or watch them with our Movie Madness deal. Rent any 2 movies for 2 nights, get a 1.25-litre soft drink and a fresh popcorn, all for just €10. See the biggest stars and movies first, only at your local Extravision.
CK1 Shock, the 2 new fragrances
for him and for her.
CK1 Shock from Calvin Klein, available exclusively at Boots.
We all know how unpredictable weather is and the damage bad weather can cause. But with Allianz Weather Safe, you can now get instant weather forecasts. And Allianz customers can get severe weather alerts and advice on protecting their property. It's free as an app, online and on your mobile. My advice, get weather safe now at allianz.ie.
Spruce. So smooth, it goes with everything.
One 4-star hotel, 2 identical rooms. So why does this one cost less with Hotwire hot rates? Because when hotels have unsold rooms, they use Hotwire to fill them. So you get them at incredible prices, backed by our low price guarantee. Like 4 stars in Paris. Our standard rate, 160. Hotwire hot rate, just €104. Same great room for less. Hotwire.com. 4-star hotels, 2-star prices.
HOTWIRE, hotwire.com.
He made a promise on the grave of his parents to rid the city of the criminals who took their lives. By day, he is Bruce Wayne. By night, he is Batman. Join Batman as he battles the supervillains in a multi-million-dollar arena show. Thrilling stunts, illusions, death-defying acrobatics. Batman live at the O2 Dublin from September 28th for 6 shows only. Tickets are on sale now. For more, go to batmanlive.com.
You know, it's great to be a but for a lot of people, that means little or no broadband coverage. Well, not anymore. A new low-cost, high-speed broadband is available if your location can pass this simple test. Can you see the sky? Say hello to QSat. It's my company, and it's a totally new and highly advanced satellite broadband service available all over Ireland. Call us at QSat now and get connected for the very low cost of €99.
Meet Chimp 9. We gave him a cure to Alzheimer's.
Oh, he's a smart one, isn't he?
Cognitive skills far exceed that of a human counterpart.
You are going nowhere, mister! Stay right there!
Daddy! Check out this guy.
Stupid monkey. We'll learn who's boss soon enough.
Subway stores are famous for freshness and value, but now it's time to take it to the max with Extreme Value Choice. Choose one of 7 6-inch subs and a medium or hot drink for only €4.50. Extreme Value Choice, all day, every day. That's lunch for only €4.50. Subway, eat fresh.
Stay in touch with friends all summer with prepaid smartphones from 7 today. O2, together is better.
Experience more. Aircom, proud sponsor of the GAA Football Championship.
It's the year of the provincial champions. 3 places filled in the semi-finals. Mayo, the Connacht champions, are there, having beaten Cork 113 to 2-6. Cork had the majority of the possession, but look at the wastefulness of the forwards. We spoke about beforehand, where would they get the scores? They got only 8 scores from 20 shots, as against 14 out of 26 for Mayo. And certain indiscipline as well. 4 yellow cards for Mayo, 3 for Cork, but 1 red card for Cork as well, as they lost their heads and lost their way. Let's have a look at the strike zones, and let's have a look first at the victorious Mayo team and see where the scores came from. Well, the defence did their job. A point from Keith Higgins coming up for the back, and Hennelly as well from a 45, and the scores coming from 5 of the forwards, but the backs in particular having done their job on the Cork. And of course Doherty coming in as well, Jason Doherty, and getting a point as well at a vital time in an excellent second half performance by Mayo. But Cork, this will not look good for Cork when they look at the failure to score. Miskela coming forward for 1 point, their only point in the second half, a point from Fintan Gould, and then Kerrigan and O'Connor getting a goal and 2 each. But the lack of scoring power in the Cork team, well, it very, very much told. But this is a story about Mayo. So, Selin, you haven't had your chance to say, what did you think? Because you did not give them much of a chance in this game.
No, not at all. And I think the malaise and the lethargy that we saw from Cork in the Munster final was here and was very evident again today. They absolutely demolished down the last day, and they left it behind them on the pitch last week. And looking at the stats there, Cork had 110 hand passes compared to Mayo 71 hand passes. That's symptomatic of the game that Cork play. They tend to use this lateral, ponderous, slow hand passing game and don't let it into their forward line. And very often their forward forwards are redundant. They had Paul Kerrigan inside and Donnacha O'Connor inside, and they were starved of possession in the second half. Mayo dominated the physical exchanges. They had slicker combination play, and it told on the scoreboard.
And they got the points in the second half. Let's have a look, Peter, at some of the scores from the second half, because they went in at half-time behind, but they really came out and took the game to Cork.
That's right, and we felt after 10 or 15 minutes that they were guilty of missing a number of easy opportunities. They always had an overlap. There was men coming through, and not always the right option was taken, but they kept on getting the ball in. The space was there for them. In this case, Alan Dillon came in, and he really came to the fore in the second half as well. He gave Muscular a torrid time, but they were thoroughly deserving. I can't believe that they left Michael Shields on Andy Moore in the whole game. We said after 15 or 20 minutes, Moore was winning everything that went in, and every ball, virtually every ball that went in.
Does Conor Coonahan have a lot to answer for tactically today in not making the switches for Cork, and also the failure to have subs ready for the forwards when he lost various players to injury?
That's right. Well, he does have a few things I think he has to answer for, is the fact that he didn't earmark any of the Mayo forwards for attention. Whenever the teams went to their selected positions, Cork defence didn't move. They didn't pick up anybody. It was a case of, we're that arrogant, we're that good, we don't need to mark. Anybody can come in here, we're good. So I felt that he should have had a few players earmarked, and that was indicated with Kevin McLaughlin coming through. Nobody put a finger on him, and the back of the net. The same with Andy Moran. He didn't switch at all, and that move was on early on.
It was Mayo that won the matchups. It was Mayo that made the changes. And, it worked to them. Cork probably treated them with respect, because this is not a game that Mayo were lucky to win. They should have won by more.
Well, indeed, let's have a look at some more of Cork's poor play during this game. The fact the passes going astray on many occasions, and poor shots as well. Shannon.
Yeah, well, we mentioned the fact that Cork were going to be vulnerable up front, that they didn't have the forwards to come on off the bench, or with the loss of Danny Gooley from play as well. And the shot selection, just like Donnacha O'Connor last week was kicking them for fun. There was a lot more pressure on. We mentioned before the game that Mayo were going to get involved in the physical exchanges, and they wore Cork down. They wore those Cork forwards down by sheer strength and tackling, and they were forcing these Cork forwards into wayward shooting from distance.
And they didn't give them opportunities to free. There was no fouls committed. They said if you're going to shoot with a bit of pressure. But these Cork guys were putting these over for fun for the last 4 or 5 weeks in the qualifiers, and just today, the lack of confidence was seeping through them.
I think there's a lack of creativity. Any time Cork midfielders had the ball, it was as if they didn't know what to do with it. And in fairness to them, at times the movement from Kerrigan and O'Connor, at times they were static. With a good view here in the second half, sitting behind them. They probably could have made it, made more runs to make the space available for the ball to be played into, which I thought was disappointing.
Peter, we saw last week Fintan Gould get a lovely goal against Down, where he really took a chance excellently, but yet he really blew it today when he had a chance to bring Cork back into the game.
We were singing his praises because he hit it low and hard, and he placed it last week, and he needed to do the exact same thing, and it was at a crucial stage of the game. If Cork had scored this, I think it would have put them a point or two ahead. Great work by Aidan Walsh coming through the middle. For once, the Mayo defence were caught ball watching, and I think he did try and place it, but he should be hitting it low and hard from there.
Even if he went at the keeper himself, because the keeper was more or less coming out and committed, but it was just like it was like fancy dance stuff. Top corner of the net, lovely goal. We're on the way to victory. And that doesn't happen.
And the key to it was, from Cork's point of view, was Aidan Walsh driving forward off the shoulder. Cork didn't do that all day, and Mayo were allowed to get back and soak them in and hit them.
The transformation between Mayo and Mayo looked today like Ireland champions. Like, this is a team.
Steady on now, David. Hold on a second.
That looked like Ireland champions. But we'll go back. Between tactics and everything else, they were within 5 seconds of being kicked out of the championship against London. And that's not 4 years ago. It's 4 months ago. It's amazing the way I've transformed. But it's full management as well.
Before the Connacht final, you picked out Andy Moran as a key player, and he really did it today, didn't he?
Unbelievable. But again, he was left right. He was doing everything that a forward should do. He was giving players options. He was taking men out of space and leaving space inside. But every time the ball went in, he won it. Yeah. That's the most important thing. He
was the one player from early on the game that we identified as making the honest runs, and it's all about the honest runs from inside. And this was the penalty opportunity that.
But you didn't even need, David.
We didn't. Yeah, exactly. From the first half chances, but Moran is honest, and he's a score getter as well. And we identified before the match as a key player for Mayo, and he stood up and was counted, and he was one of many leaders in that Mayo forward line.
Peter, isn't it extraordinary? Before the game, we were focusing on what would be the Cork full forward against the Mayo full forward, and yet it was at the other end of the pitch was the key battle.
Yeah, and the full forward is not Andy Moran's natural position. Normally he plays out in the half forward line, and he did for 10 minutes against Roscommon in the first half. He came in to some effect. and that was it. Then he drifted out. But I'm amazed that Cork left shields on him the whole game. He had other options. Carrigan would have been, suitable for someone of Andy Moran.
Just even that last quarter, the guy that kicked the ball in was Paddy Gardner. The strength and depth that Mayo had coming off the bench. You see Paddy Gardner and Ronan McGarty coming on in the space of 2 or 3 minutes. Guys that have experience.
Well, let's hear now from the man of the match. Here is Andy Moran.
Well, Bernie Kavanagh, a Mayo woman from Ulster Bank, will now present the man of the match award to Mayo's Andy Moran.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Andy, you were saying to me there a second ago, you probably came into this game in the ideal position, written off by everybody.
Couldn't have been better. Everyone wrote us off. What was it? We were like the European banks there for a couple of weeks. But no, listen, we pulled it together. We're doing well in training. And in every second half this year, we've done well. And when we were in the game at half time, it was Kevin McLaughlin's goal kept us in the first half. And we were in at a half time, we fancied ourselves.
To restrict the All-Ireland champions to just 1 point in a second half of a championship match, that's some going.
Yeah, they were missing a bit of ammo up front as well with Daniel and a few of the guys. But no, listen, Tom Caniff was marking possibly the best forward in the country at the minute. Donnacha O'Connor and kept him quiet. Keith Higgins done the same with Paul Kerrigan. So listen, when that's happening, you always give yourself a chance.
Did you feel this morning there was this performance in you were going to go out and give it your all like this?
I think I've been saying since I started playing for Mayo, if we get 15 guys on the field willing to die for each other, I think we have a chance against anyone. That's the same today. It's if you get 15 guys on the field against their 15, it's a 50-50 game. Bookies might have had us a 5-1, but we believed in ourselves.
Onwards and upwards now, and an All-Ireland semi-final to look forward to.
Yeah, we're going the easy way around it, I suppose. Kerry next. So it's it's something to look forward to. We plan to be doing our recovery session tomorrow morning. The plan is still there. I think when we were in training Friday night, we didn't feel like it was going to be our last training session of the year, and it proved that way, and hopefully we can keep going.
Well, look, Andy, congratulations today and well done again.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Peter, I'm deliberately asking you this rather than David, but Mayo have had big days in Croke Park before and had to have it again afterwards. Will they be able to contain their excitement now before Kerry in the semi-final?
That's the challenge that lies ahead. I think they have the right man over them. He's a very cool customer. He's already planning ahead, as Andy says. They have a recovery session tomorrow morning. Jim McGuinness, the fella from Donegal, he was going to have problems keeping his boys focused. He definitely did, and so the challenge now lies ahead, and I expect that Horn will have everybody eating out of his palm now, and they'll be ready for Kerry.
So it's not just the year of the provincial champions, the year of the first-time managers as well. We'll have lots more analysis when we come back after this.
SuperValu, proud sponsors, real supporters of the GAA Football All-Ireland Championship.
Let me show you something. Fixed assets, liquid assets, sustainable growth, a run on the banks, bottom line, share options, high interest rate, low interest rate. And that's what I call orchodomics. See what I did there?
What about depreciation?
David, we have total depreciation for what you're doing.
Have your Facebook or Bebo and your broadband speed's too slow? You better get WiMAX and see it's the best technology you need to get. WiMAX are coming across the nation. Imagine WiMAX, the new sensation. WiMAX, next generation. Faster, better, cheaper, no line rental fee. For more information, see imagine.ie.
Sign up today and get WiMAX phone and broadband half price for the first 3 months at imagine.ie.
Why get one quote when you can get 14? Chill talk to over 14 insurers to find you the best deal. Chill Insurance. We'll take it from here.
Now, till Monday only. At Cost Plus Sofas, it's a huge clearance. At Cost Plus Sofas, thousands of sofas must all go. Huge savings on designer sofas, leather sofas, fabric sofas. Look what €399 buys. Look what €199 buys. And buy the room, get a 50-inch TV. 9 till 9, 3 days only. It's a massive clearance at Cost Plus Sofas, and buy the room, get the TV. At Cost Plus Sofas this weekend.
Cost Plus Sofas and buy the room, get the TV. At Cost Plus Sofas and buy the room, get the TV. At Cost Plus Sofas and buy the room, get the TV. At Cost Plus Sofas and buy the room, get the TV. At Cost Plus Sofas this weekend.
At Cost Plus Sofas this weekend.
When you pick up the Star, you're getting an Irish view on things from journalists who are true sports fans just like you. Channeling the spirit of Gaelic games, we've Davy Fitz and Martin McHugh. And if horses set your pulse racing, read Europe's top tipster, Kieran O'Connell. While Eddie Hobbs makes the most of your money, Michael O'Toole is at the front line of Irish crime. And on Celeb Watch, Georgia Salpa reveals all. On every page, in every way, it's part of what we are. We're the Star, and we're better because we're Irish.
Here's a summer treat the whole family will enjoy. Sky TV, free for 1 month when you join with Sky Movies or Sky Sports. And now take Sky Sports 1 and 2 and get ESPN at no extra cost. Enjoy the very latest series, quality documentaries, or top kids entertainment. Plus, our bonus pack now includes BBC 3, BBC 4, CBeebies and CBBC. That's Sky TV free for 1 month and ESPN at no extra cost. Join today and we'll freeze your price until 2013. Call us in Cork on 0818 71 6000. Sky. Believe in better.
What if there are survivors out there?
Cut! That was mint!
Critics are calling Super 8 the film of the summer hands down. Time magazine raves. Super 8 is as great as you hoped it would be. Super 8 at cinemas August 5.
Take a break in Glasgow this August for a week to remember. You'll be spoiled for choice at Piping Live with concerts, gigs and family fun. And have a blast at the World Pipe Band Championships with 8,000 pipers and drummers from around the world. Are you up for it in Glasgow, Scotland? With
Sign up to Imagine WiMAX today and get your first 3 months half price. Now that's real value for money. Limited offer only at imagine.ie. That's imagine.ie.
The KFC Godfather Box Meal, a succulent tower burger with a spicy Italian-style sauce, original recipe chicken side, fries and drink. Respect the dawn of lunchtime.
Come on, lads. The club needs the money.
Less talking, more scrubbing.
Ulster Bank GAA Force, helping your club matters.
Well, Kerry comfortably won a one-sided quarter-final earlier against Limerick, but we've had a sensational second game where the All-Ireland champions Cork beaten by Mayo on a score of 113 to 2-6. A really, really bad day for the All-Ireland champions. In many respects, it could have been worse. We show some of the things from the second half as well. There was an incident, of course, near the end where John Miskela, Peter, got sent off. And can he have any complaints?
He can have absolutely no complaints.
Look right between the uprights here in the middle.
Just in the middle of your picture. He throws a left hook. And there didn't appear to be much going on. I don't know if there's a bit of chat or not, but he can have absolutely no excuses for that, and you have to give credit to the umpires for doing their jobs.
That was very near the end of the game, Stan. A sign of Cork had just lost their discipline.
Yeah. It's symptomatic of a team that's expecting to win the game and probably win comfortably. That when things aren't going well and you're lacking leaders, that you just get narky and ill-discipline creeps into your game.
A lot of the time that you see, that, like Kerry or Rio Dunnington has defeated this Cork team, but Kerry always mix it with them. They don't. Cork, the physical side doesn't suit Cork, and when they get mixed into it, their football suffers.
It's the first time since 2004 in Fermanagh that Cork have been beaten by anyone other than Kerry in the All-Ireland Championship. There was another incident involving Alan O'Connor for which he was booked, which we're going to see now as well. If you want to take us through this, David.
The thing is here, what happens when Andy Moore, he does something here, right? We can't say is it a punch in the back or the head, but what happens is that Cork have the ball, they go out the field. The referee comes back and books Alan O'Connor, so that means that he's seen
and we know that the referee saw it, because where we're sitting in the stand, we were able to see quite clearly that the ref saw it and decided to play on.
The hard decisions are not being made at critical stages. You know, we're going into the Ireland semi-final and final now. These are momentous calls, because what it is, he's blown his whistle and says, boys, you have a 20-yard free in. Yeah, you know, and again, we've seen it with the goalkeeper for over-carrying.
Well, we're going to see this one now, Peter, as well, because there was a disallowed goal where Alan Quirk got away with this.
Well, it's outside the small square to begin with, and if Alan Quirk had an outfield jersey on him and this happened out around the middle of the... Would the referee been given a free? I'm not too sure if he would have, and the goal should have stood.
I think Jason Doherty's doing everything right. He's standing up, he's standing tall, and actually at the last second he gets a hand on the ball. And you know, there are massive calls that are being made. Mayo didn't suffer at the end of the day, but they might be looking at that as they did.
As I said again, it's only because they're close to goal doesn't mean you can't blow them for frees. Because we're at a critical juncture where them calls have to be made because teams suffer because of them.
Looking forward for Mayo, the semi-final now against Kerry. How much will they fear the fact that Kerry clearly have a better forward line than Cork?
Kerry have a clearly better team than Cork, you know, but You know, Mayo are saying to themselves, no, guys, we still are going to be underdogs in this. But you know what? The football and the style of football they played today, that was new for Mayo. They haven't played that in the last year.
It's going to be a completely different game. They're going to be up against a team with an excellent forward line and a forward line that they'll not have faced. So Mayo will be playing against completely different opposition. Things need to work their way. They will have benefited from this here, and they will have a chance, and they'll want you to wear that lucky pink shirt again too.
I keep wearing it if they keep winning.
OK, we have much more to talk about after what has been an extraordinary performance by this Mayo team in beating Cork. Join us again after this short break.
Experience more. Aircom, proud sponsor of the GAA Football Championship.
Hi, Scott Campbell here. Welcome to the weather with Budweiser Ice Cold. All this summer, the hotter the day, the less you pay wherever you are in Ireland. So, for example, say it's a sizzling 18 degrees in Galway. You'll save a refreshing €2 off your pint. Nice. All you need is this, the Index app. So check for daily updates. Go grab some Budweiser Ice Cold and queue up some pals. Easy breezy. The hotter the day, the less you pay.
Do made to order. Do secrets. Do tough. Do it all. In good time, do make new friends. Do cozy nights in. Do crazy days out. Do come to the rescue. Do deliver. Domino's. It's what we do.
Grow your space with slide robes, beautifully made to measure storage. With a free designer home visit, a huge range of finishes, great space-saving ideas and guaranteed for 10 years. For a limited time only, spread the cost over 3 years, interest-free. 0% APR fixed, conditions and minimum spend apply. So call now on 1-800-352-352 for a free brochure or visit slideropes.com. Slide Ropes. Make space. Be happy.
Yeah, boys. Yeah, well. Do you know anything about stretches at all, Because I'm in agony here.
You're telling me this guy's going to get something for free?
Like, big size here.
Yes, even naked chatty gym guy gets something free.
Need to bring in some tunes in the place, yeah?
Top up by €5 a month and get free Meteor tech. Everyone gets something only with Meteor.
Rediscover your attic with a Styromatic. Check out our website for the new range of automatic attic stairs. www.styra.ie. Our fitters can install a Styra for you in less than 2 hours. No mess, no fuss. And we offer an unbeatable 10-year guarantee. Make that attic part of your home. Phone 1850 639 639. Rediscover your attic with a Styromatic.
This year, one man is about to inherit a world of trouble.
I'll call you back. I'm not coming into work today because I have a pest problem.
Meet Bitey. Lovey. Not fair. Nimrod. Loudy. And Stinky.
That's not cute.
Jim Carrey.
I have to send the penguins back.
Mr. Popper's Penguins.
No.
In cinemas August 5th. When Frank Castle's family are killed, there's only one thing left for him to do. The Punisher, tonight at 9 on 3.
SuperValu, proud sponsors, real supporters of the GAA Football All-Ireland Championship.
More now in Mayo's sensational rising against Cork. Here's the shots, the scores, Peter. They certainly got them when they needed them.
Well, that's a perfect for any coach, I suppose. You're told don't be shooting, from too far outside the D, and that would indicate what happens whenever you do shoot too far outside it. They don't go over the bar. But Mayo had a good array of scores. Everybody chipped in today at some stage with vital scores, and that'll be very pleasing for James Swan.
And then just see the Cork front play, which was a miserable return for Cork. 7?
Yeah, I suppose we identified the fact that Cork were going to be vulnerable, and we saw it was literally only Paul Kerrigan and Donnacha O'Connor that stood up today, and you know, their score-to-shot ratio was just very, very poor today, and you can see that from the caption.
Well, let's hear now from the winning manager, a man just in charge this season, James Horan.
Well, James, the old saying is that the bookies seldom get it wrong, but they certainly well and truly got it wrong today.
Yeah, we're delighted, obviously. We worked hard today. We outworked Cork, which is really, I suppose, the key thing we set out to do. And you know, every time they got the ball, we tackled hard. Those 2 or 3 guys tackling, and we went out winners in the end. We panicked a little bit in the second half, started taking some crazy shots, but just our work rate, and we kept going. And Cork didn't really expect it as what it looked like in the end, and we're delighted. And as Andy says, we'll recover tomorrow morning. We'll have a recovery session, and we'll start to plan for the next game and take it one game at a time.
Probably took you about 15 minutes to settle into the game. Cork were on top in that period and on top around midfield, but after that you really came into the game at midfield, and it was from there probably that your dominance toward the end really built.
Yeah, in games like that with a slippy surface, where it's at is breaking ball. And the first 20 minutes, Cork won the breaking ball 8-1, so we were getting smashed around there, even though we were catching some clean ball, but the breaking ball we were getting beaten. So as soon as we cleaned up around there and started to work harder there, we got a lot of possession in for our forwards, and Andy and the guys inside did a great job inside. So look, we're delighted with our win. Cork are superb All-Ireland champions, but we're delighted just to get over them today.
And as Andy was saying as well, I suppose it doesn't get any easier. Kerry now awaiting the All-Ireland semi-final.
Yeah, you see, just look at the team Kerry have and the players that they have, and you know, they might get a bit of a scare watching us today, and that'll G them up a little bit more, I assume. So look, we'll do our own thing. We'll get our, you know, all year we've done that. We've kept working, kept going despite all the criticism and the comments. But we just keep going and use that, and look, we'll be ready for the semi-final.
David, he's an old teammate of yours. Is he normally happier when he wins a big game?
I promise he does. But James Horan is so laid back and nearly falls over. He's you know, even his playing style. You were playing with him. Like, one thing James hated was fuss, and you know, he's cool and he's calm, and you could see that on the line today. That he has arms folded. He's looking out. He's very studious, and what he does, even his decisions today. You know, and at the end of the day, it's his first year in the job. I think Shannon said earlier there could have been someone else. I think it was Tommy Lyne just said something.
With yourself on board as well, but they did go for experience in choosing James as the manager at the time. Though
I still felt he's probably slow to make changes. I thought maybe the fact that he doesn't pressure, you know, or that he doesn't do pressure, he takes his time and weighs up everything before. But he left Cafferty on, and he was one foul away from being sent off. Now it was justified because he had a great second half, and his immediate opponent was replaced.
That's right.
But I thought he could have made changes a bit earlier.
He did replace the 2 subs that came on the last day who performed very well. He shunted them straight into the team, so he's not afraid to make changes.
The job that he has done, because remember, just remind us of where this Mayo team was last year.
Well, it was Longford in the quarter-final,
in the
qualifiers that put them out, and I think Sligo beat them in the Connacht Championship. So where has he taken them from? He's taken them from a very low position. And the Mayo County Board at the time had a very big decision to make in who they were going to appoint, because James had won the county title with Ballintubber, very young but inexperienced manager, and there was Tommy Lyons on the wings, and he badly wanted it as well. So they had a big decision to make.
2006. Today is the first day since 2006 that Mayo have actually beat anyone outside of Connacht in the championship. You know, and it's all down to, again, it's expectation. When John O'Mahony came back with Mayo, everyone expected John O'Mahony to do it. But the players and John O'Mahony, it didn't happen. But, you know, it's back to basics. Football is a young man's game, taught by and trained by and managed by young people now, because they can relate to them. You know, if you have a guy that's on the same wavelength as you, you go, you know what, I'll do it for him.
I don't know how Mick O'Dwyer would say to that, but let's hear from the losing manager today, the man who, of course, won the All-Ireland last year. Let's hear from Conor Coonahan.
Conor, not wanting to put it too bluntly, but I suppose if you score only 1 point in the second half of a championship match, you're unlikely to come out on top.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, but you know, I think we have to give credit to Mayo. You know, I mean, a lot of people wrote them off during the week. We certainly didn't, but you know, there was no arguments about it. You know, they were comprehensively the better side in the day. You know, our lads will be disappointed, but you know, I mean, from my own point of view, I'd be very pleased, you know, with those guys over a number of years and that sort of thing. So, you know, it's all about Mayo today, and they fully. And I think, you know, people in the media and the pundits who maybe knocked them back, you know, should be a bit gracious now too and take the nod.
I suppose you got off to a good start. You were on top in the